Call meeting to order, please. Mr. Beecham, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please stand and join me in the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Do we have any special guests or special recognitions tonight? I'm sorry. Oh, roll call. Sorry.
Dr. Schutz, Mr. Jester,
Here.
Ms. Romeo,
Yes.
Ms. John,
Here.
Mr. Sharam,
Here.
Colonel Hasselhoff.
Any special guests or special recognitions?
Our guests are always special, but no special recognitions this evening. So.
Okay. Architect's report?
No, sir. I'm sorry.
Departmental report?
Not this evening.
Your report then.
Thank you. Under item 7A this evening, I have for you 3 policy revisions that I would like for you to take into consideration and possibly approve. If you will notice on page 2, under item 7A, the revision for the district pay schedule. We've had several discussions and phone calls and regarding the date of the actual payment. As you might remember, about 2 years ago, or maybe just a little longer, a little shorter, I apologize, we had changed the day to be the first day of the month or the first working day following that. That works real great in the business office, did not work real great for employees. So my recommendation is we simply go back to what we were doing previously. Business office can make that work. It does cause a few problems at the end of quarters when you're doing tax reports, but we'll work through that when we have to. And so basically you'll notice there in the third paragraph where it states if the first day of the month falls on a weekend or a holiday, the day of payment will be, and we've crossed out following business, the last day before. And that will always, that will cause them to get paid earlier instead of later. And that should remedy the situation that had come to our attention as in some instances being very, very difficult to handle, such as the Labor Day weekend this year where it delayed payment till the 4th. However, we did go ahead and pay on the last day of August in that one, but the payday would have been the 4th, and that's not fair to ask employees to do that. So I would ask you to consider that. Would you like to take these one at a time, or would you like to do them all at once? Okay. Well, I would ask your consideration and approval of that particular item.
I would move for approval. I would second.
Call roll, please.
Mr. Sharam,
Yes.
Mr. Jester,
Yes.
Ms. John,
Yes.
Ms. Romeo,
Yes.
Dr. Schutz. I'm sorry.
The second item is item policy DNA-E2. You will remember, I believe it was 2 meetings ago, we approved a large number of evaluation rubrics for the new TLE, the teacher leader evaluations. There was another one that we need to put into that for the librarians. This is in the same format and the same type of evaluation as the previous ones. However, it is specifically for librarians, and I would ask for your approval this evening so we can include that in our policy.
Move for approval.
Second. Call roll, please.
Mr. Jester,
Yes.
Ms. John,
Yes.
Ms. Romeo,
Yes.
Mr. Sharam.
Yes.
On page 24, you'll find policy DO. I don't know who lettered all these when they made the policy book at the state, but under this particular policy, we are implementing language that has been passed by the legislature and language that is included in the evaluation process. You can see that the last 2 paragraphs on page 24 have been all added to state the probationary teacher who is rated as ineffective as measured pursuant to TLE for 2 consecutive years shall be dismissed. And I want to emphasize that's the word shall. Doesn't leave much latitude. Or not reemployed on the grounds of instruction instructional ineffectiveness by the school district, subject to the provision of the Teacher Due Process Act of 1990. Second one is the probationary teacher who has not attained career teacher status within a 4-year period shall be dismissed or not reemployed based on the same guidelines. So those two are new items that we are bound to adhere to by the new TLE legislation. On page 25, these two dealt with probationary teachers. On page 25, there are 3 new items for career teachers. And career teachers are teachers who have obtained or been employed 3 or more years. A career teacher who has been rated as ineffective as measured pursuant to the Teacher Leader Effectiveness System, TLE, for 2 consecutive school years shall be dismissed or not reemployed on the grounds of instructional ineffectiveness by the school district, subject to the provisions of the Due Process Act. That's career teacher, the second paragraph, a career teacher who has been rated as needs improvement or lower pursuant to the TLE for 3 consecutive years shall be dismissed and not reemployed on the grounds of instructional ineffectiveness by the school district, subject to the provisions of the Teacher Due Process Act of 1990. And of course, the last one, a career teacher who has not averaged a rating of at least effective as a measurement pursuant to the TLE over a 5-year period shall be dismissed, not reemployed on the grounds of instructional ineffectiveness by the school district, subject to the provisions of the Teacher Due Process Act of 1990. Those are all stipulations within the guidelines and statutes and the changes in the TLE process that we have. And we truthfully don't have an option to approve or not approve, but I would ask for your approval this evening. They need to be part of our policy as well as statutory language.
Move for approval.
Second.
Call roll, please.
Mr. Sherem?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Ms. John?
Yes.
Ms. Romeo?
Yes.
Under item 7B, I would ask you to consider and take action to acknowledge the written recommendation that I sent to the board to terminate the employment of Donnie Lawson, a teacher, and take action to set a date, time, and place for the hearing on that recommendation. The recommended date at this point, I believe, should just be the next regular board meeting, November 5th. And it falls within the constraints of the law, which say from the time he's notified, he has no less than 20 days and no more than 60 before we have to have a hearing. And November 5th establishes that, to hold that preceding our next board meeting at this location.
Call roll, please.
Ms. John?
Yes.
Mr. Sherem?
Yes.
Ms. Romeo?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
And then that's it. That's it. You got a break.
Okay. Do we have anything that needs to be removed from the consent agenda?
I need to pull the Lawton PTA Council sanctioning.
What page is that? Lot PTA?
Yeah, I'd like to vote on that separately, please. It is page 167.
Page 167, okay. We have a motion concerning the...
Before you do that, on the advice of counsel, I've been asked to remove pages 231 and 232 for further review by him prior to taking action.
231 and 232?
231 and 232, yes, sir.
Okay.
I would move for approval for the balance of the consent agenda.
Second.
Call roll, please.
Ms. Romeo?
Yes.
Ms. John?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Mr. Sherem?
Yes.
Thank you.
So we want to consider, was it page
167.
167 separately?
Yes, please.
Okay. And Helena, what was the reason for you?
I have to abstain. from
You have to
that.
abstain, okay. And so there's no other, is there any other discussion?
No.
Move for approval.
Second. Call roll, please.
Ms. Romeo?
Yes.
Mr. Sherem?
Yes.
Ms. John?
Abstain.
Mr. Jester?
Yes. Okay.
But it just basically will be tabled until Chuck can review it.
So we need a motion to table that.
Motion for that, Table it?
That's fine, you can,
or just leave it out of?
since it's not been considered, I think we can just leave it.
Okay, great.
Do we need to go into executive session tonight?
I have no reason to go.
Okay. Superintendent's personnel report?
Thank you. Under item 13A, I would ask you to vote to approve the employing, promoting, disciplining, and receiving of resignation of individual certified and support salary personnel as they're listed on pages 233 and 234.
Call roll, please.
Ms. John,
Yes.
Ms. Ronio,
Yes.
Mr. Sharam,
Yes.
Mr. Jester.
Yes.
I would point out to you this evening that on that personnel, on the certified page, you will see a few hires here and there, and I know we've talked at the last meeting about the budget issues. The hires you see are strictly straight-up replacements for people that have left, or they are funds that are outside of the general operating budget, and they're in a grant program that's actually paying those salaries. So,
Very good. Consideration of new business.
I do have an item to present to you for new business this evening. I received an email from Mrs. Ronio and from the OSSBA on Friday requesting that we pass the resolution that's in front of you regarding the sequestration that potentially could take place in January. I have not had a chance to visit with the board regarding my last trip to Washington, and it appears at this time, if sequestration takes place, we will lose another $880,000 above what I was projected when I gave you the budget report. This resolution is in opposition to the Budget Control Act of 2011. When you talk to the people that are in Washington, they would all tell you this was never intended to happen, but because the Committee of 12 did not act and come up with a budget cutting measure, there was a trigger mechanism in the law that put this in place. So it is scheduled to happen. Dr. Colburn, who is a U.S. Senator here from Oklahoma, and a bipartisan group have gotten together. They're working on trying to find some solutions so that this does not have to go into effect. Obviously, it'll have to be a consideration that takes place on November 13th when Congress reconvenes after the election, and they will take care of dealing with some business at that point. But the resolution, if I may, I won't read the whole thing to you, but I can just read what we're resolving to do. It says, now therefore be it resolved that the Lawton Lawton Board of Education urges Congress and the administration to amend the Budget Control Act to mitigate the drastic cuts to education that would affect our students and our communities, and to protect education as an investment critical to the economic stability and American competitiveness. It's a very well-written resolution by the OSSBA, and I highly recommend that we take action this evening. Not having received it till Friday is the reason it's coming to you as new business.
Do we need a motion on that, Barry?
We do, please.
I would move for approval of the resolution.
Second.
Call roll, please.
Mr. Jester,
Yes.
Ms. Ronio,
Yes.
Ms. John,
Yes.
Mr. Sharam.
Yes.
Any other new business? The next board meeting date is Monday, November 5th, 2012, at Shoemaker Center Auditorium. Do we need to set any other date this time?
And that I'm aware of.
Board announcements?
I do have one. On Facebook, I actually saw a flash mob of the Lawton High teachers, and it was really neat to see. It was nice to see their morale and them getting out there and doing a dance, and it was really great. So kudos to the Lawton High teachers that
You may
got
want
out
to
there.
define flash mob so that nobody panics. That's
A flash mob is when you run out and you do a dance in the middle of something. So it's like a pre-planned dance, and they did it during a pep rally.
Oh.
The teachers did, so that was really neat.
Funny.
So.
Great. Consideration of a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
Call roll, please.
Ms. John,
Yes.
Ms. Romeo.
Yes.
Mr. Sharon,
Yes.
Mr. Jester.
Yes.
We will adjourn for